Welcome back to another session and the most important lecture for the emergency medical technician, scene safety and assessment of the scene. I am Dr. S. Prakash Babu, HOD, Department of Emergency Medicine, PS Medical College, Kuppam. Objectives of the lesson for today are: at the end of the lesson, you should have understood the immediate importance of personal and team safety at the scene, have a method of assessing the scene in an organized manner, understand the principles of reading a scene, and effectively communicate the perceived dangers at the scene. Finally, learning extrication from an unsafe scene. The key principles of scene safety include: first and foremost is the personal safety. Personal safety comes before patient care. And safety is a responsibility of everyone, not only the leader. Never assume that the scene is safe until you have personally assessed the scene and confirmed that the scene is safe. Experience and training of the paramedics dictates their role as a safety officer at an unsafe scene. Due to specialist or technical nature of some of the scenes, it is essential that you follow directions of the combat agency controlling the scene. These are the components of scene assessment. As I already told, first and foremost is the safety, then effective communications. You should be able to communicate with each other in a shared language that is understood to everyone. You should be able to read the wreckage. Unless you read the wreckage, you will not be able to make a plan. So this is one of the most important steps, is reading the wreckage. You should make sure that everyone has been accounted for. You should recreate the scene and find out how many victims have been involved, whether you have found all of them or not. And also, while leaving the scene after completion of your activities, check that all your team members are present. Assess the casualties as per emergency assessment guidelines. Frame a method of extrication that is most suitable for that situation and individualize it to the patients. Plan an evacuation route as early as possible in the course of scene assessment. And last but not the least is the shifting the patient to a right facility. You have to shift right patients to the right facility. That is one of your most important job. Right facility means, let me give an example. If a patient with head injury has been shifted to a center where there is no immediate availability of CT under the specialist doctor neurosurgeon, it will not be useful for the patient even if you have successfully extricated the patient and shifted him to the hospital. So you have to decide which patient you are going to shift to which hospital. That is the right facility. Next, we'll talk about safety. When you are ensuring safety of you, your teammates and the patients, thoroughly assess for hazards and liaise with personnel already on scene before entering immediately. Because people whoever is already on the scene would have assessed the scene and they know the exact details at the scene. So liaising with them will help you understand the scene early. Remember that the scene is a dynamic environment, meaning a safe scene can become an unsafe scene within a span of seconds. So whenever you are assessing a scene, keep the assessment as a continuous process. Just like primary survey, scene assessment is also a continuous process. Dynamic environment can change anytime. Keep reassessing the scene continuously and ensure your safety always. Once you feel that your safety is compromised, move away from the scene. Patients can be taken care of later. So when you are assessing a scene, what are you looking for? You are looking for where is the danger. How will you do that? You will be doing a assessment of the scene, like mechanism of injury, and how the forces are interacted with the body determines the injuries. Hence, you should know the complete mechanism of injury, reconstruct the forces that are involved. Suppose two cars are traveling at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour in opposite directions. When those cars collide with each other head on, each car would have collided with the other car at 50 kilometers per hour. Meaning, the force that is stopping the car is 50 kilometers per hour. So, the energy of impact on both the cars is same. Energy is equal to mass and the velocity. So, you have to assess the mass and the velocity of the vehicle with which it has collided to know a approximate force of collision. Determining the source of unstable energy will provide clues to associated dangers. Unstable energy means, suppose a live wire has been cut and is falling on the ground. If you haven't noticed that, it will be a source of an unstable energy, that is electrocution. The team members going and touching the wire can get electrocuted. Or a car which is landing on its side can be unstable because it can roll over into any direction anytime. So you have to look for the source of unstable energy which provides clues to the associated dangers. Some dangers cannot be eliminated altogether. Whatever you do, they may not be eliminated, but if you take proper care, you can mitigate, meaning reduce the dangers at that scene. For reconstructing and finding out what might have been the energy, what might have been the forces interacting at the scene, you need to know what are the energies involved in different kinds of common hazards. So if you take a road or motorsport accident, there is kinetic, potential, thermal, electrical and chemical injuries which can lead to dangerous situations. The kinetic energy is the other traffic with which the vehicle has collided. Potential energy is the undeployed airbags which can deploy anytime and cause damages to those who are involved in extrication activities. Seat belt pretensioners, when you are cutting seat belts, the pretensioners can come and hit you. So there is a source of potential energy. And then an unstable vehicle itself. Then you have thermal energy, which is the exhaust systems of the car, the brakes and the coolants, which can lead to fire accidents anytime. Battery, multi-fuels and roadside cables can become potential electrical hazards. Fuels, engine compartment leaks, engine oils, brake oils, those oils which are inflammable can become a chemical danger. They can spill onto the ice, they can create interact with thermal energy and they can create a fire accident. When you are looking at a rail traffic accident, a rail accident, train points are the kinetic energy, potential energy is the trip hazards, thermal energy is the brakes, electrical hazard is the high tension wires which are passing above the rail, and freight is the chemical. Water accidents, moving water is a potential kinetic energy, flood barrier giving way is cause potential energy. Thermal energy, the water can cause hypothermia, that is thermal hazard. Electrical hazard is disrupted cables running over the water body. Chemicals are pollutions. At home, pets and assailants will become the kinetic energy. Trip hazards will become the potential energy. Fire and kettles will become thermal energy. Disrupted cables, faulty equipment can become electrical hazard. Kitchen utensils and the garbage can become chemical hazard. Next important step in scene safety is a thorough communication. You need to always communicate. This is a vital component of scene safety. Communicate with other teams present on the scene appropriately and also within your team members. It is important to make your presence and receive information and initial assessment and plan. Talk to witness to gain better understanding of the incident and forces involved. Communicate with the patient and determine nature and location of the injuries. You have to ask the patient where the patient is having pain, which part of the body he is unable to move, which part is bleeding. Next step is reading the wreckage. We have discussed it in detail in extrication of the patient. You have to rebuild the scenario in the best way possible to understand the forces involved and to estimate possible injuries. Understand the mechanism is vital for predicting nature and severity of those injuries. You have to maintain a high index of suspicion in case of negative initial assessment. Some patients at the time of initial assessment might be stable because of high release of cortisol, fight and flight reactions. BP and the pulse rate will be normal, but once those cortisol has dipped, this patient will become a potentially unstable patient. So you have to maintain a high suspicion based on the mechanism of injury and the interacting forces, what injuries the patient might have had. This is an important step. So all these constitute reading the wreckage. You have to do a field risk assessment. The field includes people, equipment. Field includes people, equipment, and the environment. People can be patient or victim, size of the group, interagency skills, knowledge and experience of the emergency medical technicians, age and health of the team members, attitude, complacency of the team members. Equipments you need will be harnesses, ropes, etc. Medical kits, obviously. PPE if the scene is dangerous, proper clothing and appropriate footwear. Some form of communication system, food and water, shelter until you complete the activities, and of course vehicles to transport the patients. And then environment, you have to note the terrain or rigorous routes from that particular scene. The terrain is a hilly terrain. You will have problems with transport. You have to choose an appropriate vehicle which is hill safe and forest safe. You might need anchors for stability. Sea states, swells, tides you can expect, and there can be atmospheric changes. So when you are planning scene safety, you have to take into account all these things: people, the needed equipment, and the environment within which you are working. Next we will come to specific scene managements. First and foremost, most important is road traffic scene management. Once you are at a road traffic scene, you have to ensure all ignition switches and the collided vehicles are turned off. All victims have been extricated and moved to safety within reasonable time frame. Immediately notify the fire personnel if there is spillage or fire so that they can prevent or control the fire accident if at all some spillage is there. Try to keep everyone upwind of harmful fumes. If wind is blowing in one direction, if you are keeping the victims on the casualty reception area in the direction of the wind from the collided vehicle, if some harmful fumes are released, that can go into people and your team. So take the course of the wind into account and set up your casualty reception area. Try to immobilize the vehicle before trying extrication. Plan ahead and implement correctly. Planning is easy, but implementing is the difficult process. You have to plan ahead and you have to make sure that your plan is implemented exactly as you plan. But if the situation becomes dire, you can change your plan anytime. What are the forces involved in motor vehicle collisions? There are four impacts when a motor vehicle collides. Vehicle hits an object that stops it. It can be either a tree, an electric pole besides the road, or another vehicles in the traffic. Once the vehicle hits an object and stops it, then the occupant will hit inside the vehicle. An unrestrained person can go and hit the dashboard or the back of the front seats. Organs are jerked and hit the surrounding bones inside the body, so there will be damage to the internal organs even without evidence of external injuries. If anything is unrestrained in the car and heavy objects are kept, they can fly off and can hit the victim. So these are the four types of impacts. One is vehicle hitting the object which is stopping it. The occupant inside of the vehicle will hit the inside of the vehicle. The organs inside the body are jerked and hit the surrounding bones, leading to damage. Anything that is unrestrained inside the car can hit the victim. These two pictures will show some of the common injuries with road traffic accidents. The first picture here is a head-on collision. A vehicle is going and hitting an object which is coming in the opposite direction. So what are the injuries you can expect? Whenever an unrestrained driver is driving a car without seat belt, there is a tendency that he will move forward and hit the dashboard. So there will be craniofacial injuries in the head. Then neck can go into severe flexion and then hyperextension, which causes a whiplash injury. Chest and abdomen will hit the steering wheel, causing steering wheel injuries. Chest injuries will be anterior flail chest, sternal fracture. Then there is deceleration injuries in which the organs inside the body are moving and hitting the bones. It can cause aortic transection, pedal injury, and also liver and spleen lacerations. There can be posterior dislocation of hip because the knees are going and hitting the dashboard, moving the hips back, and there can be a fractured femur by the same mechanism. Knees going and hitting the dashboard can cause patellar fractures or knee dislocations. These are the injuries in head-on collision. The second picture here shows side-end collision. Side-end collision is the most dangerous. It can cause craniofacial injuries, direct blow, lateral rotation flexion of the cervical spine, humeral fractures, chest compression injuries, flail chest, pulmonary contusions, lateral abdominal compression injuries, splenic and liver lacerations, and lateral compression pelvic fracture, fractured femur. So these are the injuries caused in a patient who has been hit side on. And one more most common type of accidents is accidents on motorcyclists. There are three types of impact injuries in a motorcyclist. The motorcyclist going and hitting an obstacle. Second impact is on landing. He hits an obstacle and the vehicle is stopped, kinetic energy is transmitted, he will have some injuries. Second impact is after he falls to the ground, he can have secondary injuries. And tertiary injuries are movement of organ and shear is the third impact. So he can have hitting an obstacle can lead to extremity injuries, falling can lead to head injury, neck injury, chest, abdomen, and the long bone injuries. Movement of organs can lead to internal organ injuries. Pedestrian hit by a vehicle. Once pedestrian sees a vehicle is going to hit him, adult patients have a tendency to move away from the vehicle. So they have a contralateral head injury. As the vehicle hits the patient falls onto the ground because he is trying to flee from the vehicle. He falls to the ground, hitting his head on the opposite side. So contralateral head injury. Intrathoracic intra-abdominal injuries on the same side and fractured femoral shaft to the same side. These are the injuries, most common injuries sustained by pedestrian. Next, you have to assess the patients at the scene. Note the number, location and acuity of all those involved. Account everyone. Perform a rapid initial assessment to prioritize extrication and treatment. Finally, evacuation. Use simple mass casualty triage system. This mass casualty triage system we will learn subsequent classes. Next, final step is evacuation. Evacuation means you have assessed the patient, performed any life-threatening interventions, and now you are going to move the patient away from the site of the incident. Evacuation is shifting of patients to a hospital when you are talking about emergency medical services. Determine most suitable ambulance for the terrain, as we already discussed. If airlifting is possible, helicopter may be appropriate, but there are certain contraindications for air medical transport, which we will be learning in subsequent sections. Consider motorbikes for mountainous regions where proper roads are not available. Boats can be used in riverside, which is very easy. You can use trains if the patient is on a railway track. Next, you have to choose the right hospital, most appropriate hospital for each patient. Try to keep families together in the same hospital. Consider an appropriate hospital closer to their home so that their transport and movement will be easier. Consider getting back crews to their stations more quickly. Communicate to police regarding the chosen hospital so that they can follow up for the insurance or case registration. There are some tips from experts in the field. All incidents should be. Finally, there are certain tips from those employed in the field. All incident scenes should be approached in a structured manner. You should not approach in a haphazard manner and create dangers to yourself and the other team members. You have to liaise early with the incident safety officer, who is usually a fire service officer, who is the most senior working at the scene. Scene safety and an ability to read the wreckage both require an understanding of the way the energy is transferred during the crash. The mechanism of injury may be the only clue to life-threatening injury in the early stages following an accident because of the cortisol rush and the adrenaline surge. Vehicle safety systems may produce their own hazards. Even though vehicle safety systems are safer for the victims during the crash, later they can become hazards to the rescuing team. So be careful with the vehicle safety systems. Success in management requires learning as fast as the world is changing. Thank you. We'll meet in the next lecture.